District Attorney Ed Luca. Behind him is Detective Tim Furman of the Bucks County District Attorney's Office. To my right is Deputy District Attorney Ashley Toohey. Slightly behind her, to her right is Deputy District Attorney Christine Sassani. Behind Ms. Sassani is Detective Kevin Pletnicki of the Middletown Township Police Department. And Detective Jake Gallagher is to his right, also of the Middletown Township Police Department. And finally, Detective Eric Landamia of the Bucks County District Attorney's Office. First, we want to make sure to express that our thoughts are with Mike Mohn's family. They have endured the unimaginable. Not only the fact that their loved one, Mike's life, was taken so senselessly, but then his body was mutilated after his death. For those of you that observed the trial, you saw the defendant, and as the judge indicated, at every point in time, he showed such respect to everyone in the courtroom. He's clearly a very intelligent individual and showed a display of manners throughout each proceeding. But we must never forget the depravity of his actions. It is hard to even fathom what he did to his father. Not only did he take his father's life in cold blood, but he did so in his childhood home, where you heard from the family members that home was filled with love and support for all of their children. It is unimaginable the coldness of heart that it took him to do that, but then to know that he took time to sever his father's head so that he could then create a video and share that video with countless people for one purpose: to make sure that that video was a clear political statement that he hoped would incite violence and inflict terror to many, many individuals. We should never forget that is what this defendant, Justin Mohn, did, and that is who he really is. That depravity we don't see too often. I have to first commend this amazing team. The evidence in this case was overwhelming, but that does not happen by coincidence. That is because the amazing skills of this team, both the detectives who investigated this case and the prosecutors who presented the evidence in this case. And that evidence showed that this defendant acted with such calculated deliberation in his planning and the execution of his crimes. And we must never forget that, because that, coupled with that video, which quite frankly, those of you who have seen it, you know you'll never unsee that. That demonstrates what a clear danger he poses. We can never forget that, and I hope any judge reviewing a future appellate record of this case never forgets the danger he truly poses. As to Mike Mohn, those victim impact statements were so compelling. You heard and we got a glimpse into the lives of the Mohn family, and what a loving, remarkable family. First, as to Mike's career, he was an environmental engineer with the Army Corps of Engineers, and he was so highly regarded, but yet his family even talked about the humility. They didn't even realize how highly regarded he was, and he received an award for outstanding excellence in his career, and now that award is in his honor. But most importantly, we heard about the type of man he was, the loving husband, the amazing father, the brother, the nephew, the friend. And that's really what this case is about. It is about that family's loss. It's unimaginable what the defendant did to his father and to his family. I know this verdict does provide some level of justice, but it'll never heal their wounds. We know that, and they all said that. Until they take their last breath, they will grieve their father's loss, and they will never be able to unsee that crime scene and that video for the rest of their days. The only comfort we have as a team is knowing that because of the work this team did, and because of the verdict and the sentence imposed today, that this defendant, Justin Mohn, will take his last breaths within the four walls of the correctional facility, and that's where he'll die. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
You mentioned his respect, his manners, and how well-liked he was by everybody who dealt with him. What are your thoughts when you combine that with how he acted in the courtroom when his mother testified, when the video was shown, when the autopsy photos were shown, and his complete lack of remorse?
Complete and utter lack of remorse. No emotion whatsoever. And even when given the opportunity, at the advice of his counsel, which was appropriate, he still was emphatic. He does not feel remorse and he does not feel guilt. He put a caveat that he wishes that, you know, his family didn't have to suffer based on the way it unfolded, but he was adamant. No remorse, no guilt. I also failed to mention something really important, and I'm so proud of my team. This conviction of terrorism is the first of its kind in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The second case to use that charge, to charge that charge, is the attack on Governor Shapiro's mansion. So I am so proud of the team for also seeing the value in pursuing every relevant non-merging count. So it solidifies that life without the possibility of parole will remain life without the possibility of parole for Justin Mohn.
The judge mentioned an indictment of the mental health system. Are there any thoughts on that in prosecution? Obviously not as a defense, but as the family looking to get him evaluated, those type of things.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question there's mental health, but you know, we see that often in many murders. It does not certainly equate to any type of legal justification or any type of legal defense. But clearly anyone who has this system of beliefs and that will carry out such a unimaginable, unfathomable crime against someone who he admittedly said loved him and at one point he loved, clearly there's mental health. But again, not a legal defense in this case. He was aware of his actions. He was so hyper aware of what he wanted to do that we saw, you know, even surrendering his medical marijuana card so he could legally secure a firearm to carry out his father's murder. And then to sever the head and to use that, his father desecrated body for his political statement. There are just truly no words.
Jen, we heard that the family wanted him to be silenced, basically, that he wouldn't be able to continue to spew his hateful rhetoric, as they said it. They asked for that of the judge, but that's not, is that something he can't silence him, he can't prevent him from profiting off of this whole thing?
Their victim impact statements were so beautifully done, so heartfelt, so well prepared, and I really appreciate their appropriate concerns. I mean, we express those same concerns. Unfortunately, there are limitations to what the sentence imposed can do. And I'm afraid it will not achieve that goal the way we all hope and wish it could.
And so to be clear, we have two life sentences to run back to back. So assuming he finishes one.
Yes.
And then an additional, I want to say 22 to 47, 23 to 47?
The total, the 2 life sentences were ran concurrent to one another, and then the total, I believe you were accurate as to the other non-merging counts to 47 years.
23 to 47.
Yes, that's correct. Are there any other questions?
With the death penalty, aggravators were filed. Why did you guys move away from that? You didn't plea. What was the reason?
You know, that's such a layered analysis whenever we make that decision, and we never do it in a vacuum. We always do it with extensive discussions with the family. One of the things I thought was so clear today, and even the family honed in on this, I believe it was Steph who said, we don't want our brother to have a platform for the rest of his life to spew his political rhetoric, his disgusting, vile thoughts and ideas. And, you know, I will say, there is some solace in knowing that life without the possibility of parole in PA means life without parole. And it also does reduce the appellate review of a case if, in fact, the death penalty was imposed. And we know every opportunity he took to use the court system as a platform for his agenda. So, again, that doesn't answer your question directly, but there were so many factors, but we are satisfied that this was the right outcome to guarantee that the community at large is safe from Justin Mohn and respecting, you know, the family's concerns as well.
And this was done in consultation with the family?
It was, and it's never an easy discussion, and it's fluid. So I have to say, ultimately, we as a team make the decision, but we never do it without extensive communication with the family. Are there any other questions?
Is there a level of concern that he uses this as a launching pad? He didn't find anyone to follow him before. Is there a concern now that he uses, unfortunately, we have to cover this coverage as a launching pad?
Yeah, we've seen it in countless cases before where individuals serving life without parole, heinous murderers, somehow gaining notoriety in the community and having a following. That's always a concern. I mean, you heard today how he wanted to negotiate a prisoner trade with Russia. I mean, you know, he'll use every opportunity he can. So I'm just so grateful that this verdict just confirms, you know, the heinous nature of this offense and that there's justice for Michael Mohn and his family. Thank you.